One truth about branding is that sometimes brands don't design anything at all. It's called full package manufacturing. It's not wrong. In fact, in today's environment of speed to market, it actually makes a lot of sense. It is what it is, but Shoemanifesto is different. I make all my own designs, and then I take those designs and craft an actual pair of prototype shoes from it. As in today's video, where I'll be completing technical design for this project. Stick around to find out more. Hi, welcome back to Shoemanifesto. Today we're looking at technical design for this series. This is my product development phase, and this is where I create the roadmap that will turn my original design concept into a finished product. The purpose of any tech pack is to convey all of the elements and information about each design to the production team. A good tech pack will maximize the design and can even improve fit with callouts. It's also a good reference point for quality control. A tech pack lists all of the components used in each design. It will also describe the design details, including specifications, descriptions, and colors. A brand will sometimes work in partnership with the factory, and they can often fill in the gaps. They can recommend locally sourced components, and they can often provide alternatives for material and/or trims and findings. The Shoemanifesto Tech Pack is only for this channel as it pertains to the shoes that I will be crafting in each series. What you'll see from me isn't nearly as encompassing as an industry tech pack intended for full production and eventual import. But I'm still very thoughtful about this work. I always think very carefully and sequentially about how I'm going to build this pair of prototype shoes. That's what today's segment is all about. It never fails that after every project series, I imagine what I'd do differently if I were to reapproach that project. Lessons learned. Those questions would be part of the prototype development process. If I were to continue development, for example, if this was for a customer and I needed to correct fit or mistakes, then I would start those corrections in the tech pack first, either adjusting patterns or making material or component changes. It's the best way to keep track of the work in progress. In just a moment, I'm going to show you this project's tech pack. I completed forms for costing, materials, colors, specifications, callouts, and of course my last description and details. Remember what I like to say, shoemaking is a game of millimeters and pennies. With that in mind, I'm going to be using as much leftover material as I can on this prototype pair. Let's take a look at each of the forms I created for this project's tech pack. My first form is always the tech flat. This was completed during the previous video at the same time as the Illustrator rendering. Also, in case you missed it, I added a link in the previous video's description where you can download this tech flat and have fun with it. Color it, give it to the kids, let them have a bit of fun, and please do share these on your social medias and tag Shoemanifesto in your post. There's a big difference between fashion illustration and a tech flat. One has artistic license and the latter demonstrates the design elements. The tech flat goes with the packet in order to give an overall view of this design. It shows pattern placement, edge treatments, stitching, sequencing, and so on. Next, I add all the artwork, including the hand-drawn design sketches and the rendering, which you saw me work on in the previous video. My next form is the spec sheet, which gives a complete description of the design for this project. Season, silhouette, edge treatments, colors, materials, construction methods, so on. I also list whatever consumables, components, and chemicals I use. Closely related to that is the material sheet. I also include a swatch of each material. Apart from general descriptions, the material sheet also includes vendor's info, the unique product identifier or item number, and any reorder information. While we're talking about the materials, let's see what I have sourced. I wanted to use as much on-hand materials as I could, so I'm reusing this black color faux suede woven. This will be used on the vamp, the toe box, and the heel wrap. I'm also reusing some of the same red cotton woven from the last project for the heel counter binding, which will be rolled under and also act as the heel counter lining as well. So the inside of the heel will be red. This is the dollar bill motif wallet made of PU that I ordered online. It's actually plenty of material for what I need it for. Next is the cost breakdown worksheet. It lists the material name, the vendor, the unit of sale, and the cost per unit. This breakdown allows me to estimate the cost and net usage per pair. This also helps me understand waste and loss, and whether or not I potentially have enough material on hand for another project. This is my last worksheet. It gives some basic details on the last that I'll be making: description, silhouette, heel height, wedge angle, toe shape, and the size info. I am going to be splitting these lasts, which in itself is slightly destructive to the width of the blade that I use, so I have to factor that slight material loss into my last template and give just enough excess so that I can reshape once splitting is done. Next are my callout sheets. This form brings attention to any construction details that require specific instruction. For this project, I've created callouts for the construction of the heel counter. As is standard for Shoemanifesto, I make callouts for the sock liner, the label, and the toe shape. It shows material, shape, and color, as well as label placement. And lastly, I have my color chart worksheet. This form shows my colorway: black with the green of the dollar and the red seam binding. Red and green are complementary colors. Black is, of course, an achromatic color and doesn't appear on the color spectrum, but the power and elegance of black in shoes is undeniable. And of course, I'll add the corresponding Pantone numbers to each color swatch on this sheet. And just like the last project, one of the final steps is to add all of the pattern pieces I create to the completed project packet. I'm going to leave you with a look at me making this tech pack. I'll be assembling the forms and components that I'll be using to craft this project. When I was thinking about how I was going to translate Shoemanifesto into a YouTube channel, I wasn't sure if technical design and creating tech packs was something that you, the viewer, would be interested in. I've always done it, but wasn't sure how to present the information or how it would translate. But I'm really glad I chose to. This step highlights a different way of approaching and solving issues in a project, and strategic thinking is applicable in any field. Over the arc of each project on Shoemanifesto, you see me go from purely creative to this step, which is purely technical, and into the next phases, which are increasingly tactile and 3D. Speaking of 3D, in the next video of the series, we go from flat paper to the elegant forms and curves of the wooden shoe last that I'll be making, all by hand, using no specialized machinery. In the meantime, the call to action on this video for you, the viewer, is to create your own SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Write down your strengths. What are you really good or unique at? Do you have complementary skills or trainings above the standards in your field? Write those down. Your weaknesses, an honest assessment of where your skill sets fall short. A good gauge of this is to look at job postings for your dream job. What skills, competencies, software languages are employers looking for? They'll always list exactly what skills and experience they expect candidates to have. Compare your current skills and knowledge and experience to that. Write down what else you need, and then make a plan for how to acquire those. Your opportunities. Where your strengths can best be applied. Where do you envision a need, a gap? Where can you serve like no one else? Threats. Do you have any single points of failure? Is your computer ready to quit? Is your dream job increasingly becoming automated? How do you envision growth in that field? Is there increased competition or saturation? Do you suffer from a lack of support or access or economic barriers? All of this will be a tool to help you analyze where you are compared to where you need to be to achieve your goal. As you study, you can begin to devise your own success strategy. It may also point out potential niches, lessons learned, so on. Enjoy this week's edit. Thank you so much for watching. Don't ever give up on your dream. See you in the next one.
Seems to circle the other. As you go, you remain a stranger to me, to you. But our pieces left uncovered. I'm thinking about four-leaf clovers. I've got composure, silver coin. You hold me, turn me over right now, but expect to forget about it. Watch as the breeze burns golden smoke that you've stolen. Feels like it's my fortune that you're folding. I'm swimming with the sharks. I'm swimming with the sharks. I can't tell you apart from them. You can't tell either. Will we love or fall in deeper? Tell me, darling, what is it you want? How the mind doesn't work like it used to. As I know I remain a danger to me, to you. Going show.